not YO2, ZrO2. Zirconia. So this itself is having a high conductivity, oxide ion conductivity at a high temperature. To further increase its conductivity, some percentage of yttrium is doped. Yttrium with a valency of 3 plus is doped. We have zirconia already 4 plus. Now you are replacing some portion of zirconia. Let's say one zirconia is replaced with the yttrium. Zirconia is having already 4 plus. Now you are replacing with the 3 plus yttrium ion. What will happen? There is a deficiency in the cations. Positive charge ion deficiency in the crystals. For example, here we call it as a vacancy. We call it as a vacancy. And such material, if you heat it, what will happen? This oxygen will try to occupy the vacancy. Then wherever the oxygen was there, that portion will become vacant. Then to fill that vacant, neighbor oxygen will come. Like this, oxygen will be moving to fill the vacancy. When oxygen is moving, it's conducting. It will facilitate the conducting. So that's why, so this SOFC is acting as a oxide ion conductor. Oxide ion conductor. This occurs at high temperature, 800 degree, 900 degree, even up to 1000 degree. 1000 degree. So why oxygen ion need to be conducted? Because we need to use it as an electrolyte, oxide ion conductor at high temperature. So this is the configuration of the SOFC. You have an anode. As I told, we don't require no precious catalyst. We can use nickel itself as an electrode. And the electrolyte is YSZ, yttrium stabilized zirconia. And the cathode is some oxide, maybe a cerium oxide or lanthanum manganese oxide, etc. Then you have to sinter all together. All are in solid state, no liquids. Then you can feed fuel, hydrogen, methane, CNG, CO, etc. And oxygen at the cathode side. If it is a hydrogen, hydrogen oxidation taking place. Oxidant is oxygen, oxygen is undergoing reduction. So it will generate 1.23 voltage, theoretically, at a high temperature. So then preheating is required. This fuel cell must be operated at high temperature. You might be wondering how much is the conductivity of this yttrium stabilized zirconia. So please make corrections. The base material is not yttria, it is zirconia. I initially told wrongly yttria. It is zirconia, ZrO2. So to further lift its oxide and conductivity, a portion of zirconia is replaced with the yttrium 3 plus. Zirconia is 4 plus, yttrium is in 3 plus. There is a mismatch of the valency. So there will be a deficiency, oxygen vacancy. So when you subject that material at high temperature, there is a mobility of the oxygen. Oxide ion try to occupy the vacancy. When it does so, there is a conduction path established. We call this mechanism as a vacancy mechanism or hopping. The conduction of the oxide ion by hopping. So Professor Miura from Kyushu University has done a lot of works on using yttrium stabilized zirconia for high temperature applications. You believe it or not, this technology of using yttrium stabilized zirconia has been very well implemented 30-40 years before itself to construct another device known as sensors, air fuel sensor. Maybe I mentioned sometimes back. Air fuel sensor or oxygen sensor. Same oxide ion conductor, you sandwich with the platinum. You change the oxide ion oxygen concentration at 2 platinum electrodes. and it can detect oxygen. That is very much used in automobiles even now as a air fuel sensor. It senses how much oxygen is there in the combustion chamber, so that more oxygen should be fed to the combustion chamber or oxygen should be removed. Now the same yttria stabilized zirconia can be utilized as an electrolyte to generate electricity by using variety of fuels, hydrogen, CNG, or methane, or etc. How much is the conductivity? This is the conductivity, ionic conductivity. So this is the inverse of temperature. Okay. So at this temperature, you get at least 0.01 or 0.015 Siemens per centimeter as a ionic conductivity. So instead of yttria, there are many other works. Calcium can be stabilized. Strontium can be utilized. Magnesium can also be utilized. By considering the price as well as the conductivity magnitude, yttria stabilized is the most popularly used solid electrolyte for SOSC applications, and also for uh, air fuel sensor application. Scandia also can be used. Scandia, SC doped. You can get very high conductivity, but it's also very expensive. So practically, it is not feasible. So yttrium, relatively high temperature, high conductivity, and relatively less price. So yttria stabilized zirconia is used. Commercially available. This material commercially available. So typically doped concentration of yttria is 10% or 8 mole percentage. Okay. Optimum concentration is 8 mole percentage. Yttria doped zirconia is the electrolyte used in this SOFC electrolyte. This is the crystal structure of pure zirconia. There are no oxygen vacancies because the charges are very well balanced. Zirconium 4 plus replaced or counterbalanced with 4 negative charges. So now you dope yttrium. Yttrium having a 3 plus charge. So it generates oxygen vacancies. So to fill this oxygen vacancy, the oxygen will move. So the mobility is continued and it facilitates oxide conductors. So that's why I told the maximum conductivity of oxygen conduction occurs at doping of 8 mole percentage. 8 mole percentage. 10 mole also you can do, but not much increase. So 8 mole itself is enough. This is the configuration of the SOFC fuel cell. We have electrolyte, very high temperature, it has to be operated. 800 to 1100 oxide ion conductor. YSG as an electrolyte. Anodes are nickel. Cathodes are lanthanum manganate. Or maybe sometime to increase the conductivity, maybe strontium doped, or stability, you use strontium doped lanthanum manganate as a cathode. You can completely avoid platinum or platinum based electrolyte. Catalyst, excuse me. You can very much use hydrogen, CNG, methane, any gaseous fuel, any energetic molecule as a fuel. You get theoretical cell voltage of 1.23. And we have merits of this fuel cell. You can operate in 2 ways, either in the form of a tube or in the form of a plate. Both can facilitate. So either in the form of a tube, this is your YSG tube. I have this in our lab. Okay. Then you have a cathode, anode. If it is a plate, so one side you coat your nickel oxide, nickel, another side you coat lanthanum oxide. So tubular type or plate type, you can have it. So if enough concentration of the fuel is fed, it will generate significant voltage at a high temperature. This is how you can construct tubular type fuel cell. The same configuration as I told can be used to detect gases, oxygen, methane, ethane, carbon monoxide, etc. High temperature. Merits are solid electrolyte is used as an electrolyte. No liquid electrolyte is required. No leakage of the electrolyte. You don't need to humidify the fuel. Maybe in the case of methanol, you need to humidify, which such thing is not required. Fuel flexibility we have. You can use hydrogen as well as hydrocarbons, CNG, methane, natural gas directly can be used. No need to have a high temperature, precious catalyst. And since the high temperature is involving, you get high power densities. But there are disadvantages. Similar to what we have seen in the case of MCFC, this fuel cell involves high temperature, durability need to be taken care. Corrosion, high temperature. Auxiliary power is required because initially you have to take the fuel cell to be operated at the elevated temperature. Auxiliary power is required. So there is a person in Los Angeles, Sridhar, who has developed Bloom Energy. You name any kilowatt, this fuel cell stack is available, commercially available. Bloom Energy, in the name of Bloom Energy. So I think I'm done with the types of fuel cells. So this one table gives all the fuel cells that we have looked up so far. AFC is alkali fuel cell, PMFC we know, DMFC we know, PAFC, MCFC, SOFC. All their characteristics. ACFC uses OH minus as the electrolyte, and these three fuel cells you can be using H plus as an electrolyte, and the MCFC carbonate ion as the mobile ion, and SOFC O2 is the mobile ion, and their power density ratios, anode reaction, cathode reaction, one can have it. One topic I left in the fuel cell so far, that's Nernst equation for the each fuel cell. We have already learned the Nernst equation in the first unit. For an electrochemical reaction, so to get to know the cell potential and on non-standard condition, we need to use Nernst equation, if you remember, first unit. Cell voltage is not the voltage of the potential of the electrode alone. The cell voltage is also governed by the concentration of the oxidant and the reducing agent, or reactant and product. That is connected with the Nernst equation. So for example, if this is the reaction, A plus B becoming C plus D with their moles, the reaction coefficient is this one, or almost equilibrium constant. Concentration of powers of product, concentration and the powers of the reactant. We know this equation delta G equal to delta G naught plus RT ln Q. We also know Gibbs equation delta G equal to minus NFE. So if you replace delta G in that Gibbs equation, so delta G equal to delta G naught plus RT ln Q. So this equation becomes minus NFE equal to minus NFE naught plus RT ln Q. So you rearrange, finally you get Nernst equation. This is the Nernst equation. E cell voltage is equal to E naught cell, that's the cell potential of the electrodes at a standard condition, and the depending on the concentration of the reduced species and oxidized species, so you get cell voltage something. That cell voltage is different from the combination of thermodynamic voltage. We know, we have already seen it, where R is taken care. So this RT by NF is reduced to 0.0592 divided by N. So R is having usual meaning, and T is temperature, Q is reaction coefficient, and F is so Faraday's constant, N is number of electrons. This Nernst equation we know. Now the question is, what is the Nernst equation for the PMFC? What is the Nernst equation for DMFC or SOFC, etc.? That's the question. We know their respective reactions. In the case of PMFC, the anode reaction is this, cathode reaction is this. If it is alkali fuel cell, the anode reaction is this, and the cathode reaction is this. We have just now saw MCFC. In the case of MCFC, anode reaction, if the fuel is hydrogen, this is the anode reaction. If the fuel is CO, this is the anode reaction. And the cathode reaction is same oxygen reduction reaction. Maybe in the case of MCFC, CO2 is reduced to carbonate. And similarly, in the case of YSC or this solid oxide fuel cells, SOFC, if hydrogen is the fuel, this is the anode reaction. If CO is the fuel, this is the anode reaction. If methane is the fuel, this is the anode reaction. Cathode reaction is same. We have an anode reaction and we have a cathode reaction. We have an anode reaction for PMFC or MCFC, SOFC. We have a cathode reaction, respective cathode reaction. Both should occur. Then only we have a cell reaction or global reaction. For hydrogen fuel cell, it's a simple global reaction. What is that simple global reaction? Hydrogen plus of O2 giving rise to H2O is the global reaction. So similarly, you can write global reaction for all the fuel cells. H2 plus half O2 giving rise to H2O is the global fuel cell reaction for PMFC. Similarly, the global reaction for MCFC or SOFC are given here. CO plus half O2 giving rise to CO2 is the global reaction in MCFC, or when you use CO as a fuel. Similarly, the overall cell reaction or the global reaction, maybe in the case of SOFC, if methane is the fuel, it is getting oxidized to water and CO2. This is the overall reaction. You see that in all cases, there is an involvement of a fuel as well as the oxygen. So then we need to know what is the concentration of fuel and the concentration of the oxygen. So that is very much fit in the Nernst equation. Nernst equation. So this is the general Nernst equation. E cell equal to E naught cell minus 0.0592 by N log concentration of the reduced species, concentration of the oxidized species. So if we know the concentration of the reduced species of PMFC, you put that here. Concentration of oxygen or oxidized species for PMFC, you put that here. That is what here. You have E cell equal to E naught plus RT by NF. 2 electrons are involved. 1 mole of methanol water generation. Then we have a concentration of hydrogen, concentration of the oxygen. Depending on the concentration of hydrogen and depending on the concentration of the oxygen, and you have a standard cell reduction potential, then you have a cell voltage. This is for PMFC. So along with that, if you have a concentration of CO, you have to take into account concentration of CO also, maybe in the case of MCFC, or methane in the case of YSC, what is that? SOFC. Concentration of methane, concentration of oxygen, then you take the standard potential 1.21, number of electrons involved in methane oxidation is 8. This is the Nernst equation. It's possible to estimate what is the cell voltage at non-standard conditions. These are the standard potential E0. For PMFC, it is 1.23. For methanol fuel cell, it is 1.21. But That is not equal to the cell voltage because the concentration of the reactant oxidant also play according to the Nernst equation. According to the Nernst equation. So it may be less or more than so E naught when you talk about Nernst potential or cell voltage. So you can write Nernst equation for the PMFC, you can write Nernst equation for MCFC, you can write the Nernst equation for or derive the Nernst equation for SOFC if the fuels are the respective fuels, CO or methane or hydrogen as the fuel. So, okay, so another again comparison similar to the previous what is the table we have seen. This table gives all the characteristic of the fuel cells so far we have seen. PMFC, what are their characteristic? PAFC, what are their characteristic? AFC, their characteristic. MCFC, or their characteristic. SOFC. I think if you know this table, we will very much know what are the characteristic of each fuel cells. All the aspects of each fuel cell so far we have given is available. But still there are challenges with these fuel cells. Longevity is one of the problems. Power density is problem. So in many cases, high temperature is involved, or even at low temperature, they are prone to cohesioning. You remember in the case of MCFC, cohesioning taking place, increasing the resistance, activation deactivated, we have losses, etc. Longevity is a problem. Power density is very much a problem. Low power densities. Generally, power density of fuel cell is limited. And in the case of a low temperature fuel cell, which essentially requires a high price or precious catalyst like platinum based materials as a catalyst, and the membrane is one of the problems. Nafion membrane, very expensive. So the cost or the price of the fuel cell is still challenging. I think I am done with. This is the regenerative fuel cell that I was talking in the beginning of this today's class. Someone asked, is fuel cell is reversible? We can create reversible fuel cell or regenerative fuel cell. I think this one slide will give you the clear picture about this regenerative fuel cell. So we have electrolyzer using which we can generate hydrogen and oxygen and store it maybe in the barrels. How will you power this electrolyte? Maybe use a sustainable source or renewable energy. You can have a small solar panel, daytime, so create the electricity, feed to the electrolyzer. So even small electrolyzer, but if you run for a whole day, a barrel of hydrogen and oxygen can be generated. During the night time, daytime and night time, you require energy. Night time you operate the fuel cell. Now fuel for this fuel cell you can obtain from the hydrogen and oxygen that was generated in the daytime. Then this fuel cell will generate electricity. It can be fed to the consumer electronics. And this fuel cell generates water. That water can be collected and again can be fed to the electrolyzer. And it can be looped. What can be looped? Water generation and hydrogen generation can be looped. And it is a regenerative fuel cells. Complete independence of the energy and mass. Mass of hydrogen and oxygen can be generated from the electrolyzer. Water can be generated from the fuel cell. And this electrolyte can be powered by the sustainable source or renewable energy. Complete independence. Of course, from these renewable energy sources, directly they can be fed to the consumer electronics, but it is in daytime. But in the night time, you need to have other energy source. That is maybe fuel cell. Regenerative fuel cell or reversible fuel cells. This concept has come into the existence maybe very recently, 5-6 years before. Last year I told 5 years, this year I will tell 6 years before. Okay, so I think I'm done with this. So I think with that, so we will complete this unit 5. That's on fuel cells. I'm left with the unit 2, unit 3, secondary fuel cell. Maybe another few classes we'll take up. If anything would like to add, make some comments, clarification, you are welcome to do so.
Sir, I have a doubt in DMFC and PMFC
Yeah, please.
power density.
Please. Power density between the PMFC and the DMFC.
Yes, sir. Because I have only I know that DMFC have six electrons. Also, that you said that it has a higher power density than PMFC. But sir,
Correct.
I search some 2 3 papers in that I get that PMC has
PMFC has a higher energy, higher power
power
density.
density.
Yes, there is there. The reason is, so compared to methanol, hydrogen can be easily oxidized. When I say easily oxidized, more hydrogen can be oxidized. So when more oxygen can be oxidized relative to the methanol, so eventually more power density you can have it. That's how you can rationalize. It's a simple reaction, simple oxidation reaction in the case of PMFC compared to the MCFC. Agree. That was one of the question asked in the this thing, right? In
Assignment.
assignment. You can rationalize. Anything else? So if not, we'll stop. Go and have lunch. Take care. See you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Sir.